Separate says, I feel like I want to pick up smoking. After the breakup, I always need something happening in my life. If there is nothing going on, I start overthinking and get really depressed. Well, trying to solve your problems by making yourself busy is because you want to distract yourself rather than dealing with the problem. And distracting from something, rather than actually deal with it, is going to make you continue doing that distraction. And now let's examine what that distraction is going to be. If it's going to be something valuable, healthy, helping you with your, I don't know, economics or health or intelligence, it could be good. Like if you play chess all the time because you want to distract yourself because you haven't solved the problem. And so that's not a bad distraction. It's pretty good and makes you very strong in chess. And it's amazingly effective in making you get used to problem solving and understanding that there's always a solution, that you can always do your best. There's always ways out, even though you don't see it. But if you really try, you may see beyond it and you can see that it will eventually move towards getting you free from a jam, even though it looks like no hope, but small changes, even though it doesn't change it right away. But it proves to you that in chess, that's what happens. You make small change in a big danger, and that small change could open something, and if you next move, you might be on top. Or if it's something like you do math or you research on something and you focus on your studies or become a better, I don't know, tennis player or become better in your job, then these are all good distractions. But if it's smoking and you end up doing that, and it's not like chess or doing math that you can pretty much put it down when you don't feel like it, although there's some kind of element of habit into anything that we do a lot of. But when smoking gets to be a habit, then you got into habit with something that is actually detrimental to your health. That's not a good distraction. Because almost anything that you do a lot of becomes your habit through neuroscience of habit. That's how it works. And if it's a smoking that every time you smoke, you feel good because it gives you kind of tranquility, it distracts you, and you get what you want out of it, that's going to pump in a little bit of a dopamine into your system. So you get the urge, you feel tense or anxious, and then you get to your pocket and get the cigarette out and you start smoking it, and then you feel and then dopamine is released into your brain. So now it feels good. Now, while the nicotine and all the other shit that is going to your system makes you addicted to that toxin to the point that you actually crave that toxin in order to feel balanced, it's no longer a distraction, it's now a necessity. Like you become hooked on it. So it's not like chess that is a distraction. You don't have time for it, you don't want to do it, you won't, you put it off. But it actually is in your blood system and you don't have much control of stopping it, even if you want to, when you even are damn sure that it's detrimental to your health. It starts running you rather than you running it. It chooses you that you need to smoke right now, and you will because you're addicted, you're hooked on it. And then after a while, you're no longer doing it just for the addiction. You're doing it because every time you do that addiction, it makes you feel good and a dopamine is released. So now you're doing it for two reasons. The addiction, you need it, and I get dopamine. Now it's become even more difficult to get rid of it. The stuff that is really shit for your life. It's going to kill you. It can kill you. It has killed people. And then after a while, now you get a third one. It's not over yet. First you were doing it to distract yourself. Then you started doing it because you were hooked and addicted to the shit that was in it, the toxin in it. Then after that, it became that it was secreting dopamine every time you did it. So you did it now for distraction, for being hooked and addicted to it, and because dopamine is released and you feel, good. Then after a while, you're no longer doing it for any of them. Number one reason you do it is because it has become your habit. Because the goal finding center and reward center and the habit center, they're all on the same circle called the striatum. And when you constantly do the compulsion for an obsession, let's call this also an obsession, whether the reason is OCD or the reason is distraction, but you do a compulsion, which is the cigarette smoking, let's look at it that way, then the reward center is also there, which is the dopamine is released. Yeah? So goal finding, doing something that you think you got to do to calm you down, and then dopamine, reward, both in the same center. Then they are also right on top of the same area of habit center. So they lead to habit, and when it becomes a habit, it's now more difficult than when it was just a compulsion or when it was just a dopamine reason for dopamine's sake or getting a dopamine and feel good about it. It's far more difficult to get rid of it. And on top of it all, it's a killer. It's a poison. So you don't want to use cigarette to distract yourself from whatever it is that you don't want to deal with. Some girl left you and you're going to just actually gradually kill yourself by smoking, because that's a killer. It's a toxin. It's going to kill you. There's enough shit in the air. We don't need to put it in directly. Just avoiding that shit is good enough. So a girl left you, and that's a reason to actually betray everything else that was given to you in this world. By the universe, by nature, by the efforts of your parents, raising you, bringing you up to this, your education, your own efforts for making your life better, and all that you put in it. You're just hanging on a thread, a girl's decision that I don't want to. So I'm just going to kill myself. But I don't want to do it right away. I just want to kill myself every day, a little bit. So I'm going to pick up smoking. That's your philosophy. You make the decision now. Is your life that worthless? Is the sacrifice of 300 million sperms that were your mom and dad were being feisty, and there were choices and chances of some other sperm to become alive, and you beat them all. You were the champion. That champion that beat 300 other possibilities to be given birth in this world, that champion is actually going to lay down because a girl told him, I don't want you anymore. So he says, those 300 million were sacrificed for me to be in this world. My parents did so much work for me and helped me and raised me and all that. I have put so much effort in building my life, become who I've become. And all of that, and the abundance and opportunities of future life and plans that I have, all of it shit for your shit. Because you don't fart on me anymore, because you don't let me kiss your lips or whatever the shit it is that you think it's worth your whole life. And you're going to pick up smoking to further kill yourself. You tell me, is that a sound decision? Is that what your life worth? I don't know. You figure it out. I'd say no. Go on, pick up something that makes you strong so you can live your life and become better in your studies or become better in your job, and you make money, you get other girls, prettier girls, nicer girls, and have a great life and understand how the world is favoring you with abundance and take advantage of it and make meaningful life out of it, rather than sacrificing all that because some girl didn't want to be with you. And that's her right. She can decide that. But you also have a right to respect yourself and value this abundance, this opportunity of living in this world, experience of journey of life, and go make something out of it. Why you want to waste it? 300 million other sperms could have been you. You beat them all to come here and sacrifice yourself for some shit relationship? What the fuck is wrong with you? Anyhow, that's my French. I guess you are a smart boy, intelligent enough. When you ask the question, that means you're intelligent enough. And if you're intelligent enough, you can figure out that's a bad decision. All right.